Hi everyone, and welcome back to Waterhouse Forde. Thanks for joining us. In this video we're going to be removing the brake drums and inspecting the brakes themselves. I'm a little bit concerned about what we're going to find. The brakes are not acting properly. They don't feel to me to be working properly. For one thing, the wheels are very stiff, and I detected a bit of binding when we were moving the tractor. And the general action of the brake pedal is not great. I think there's probably a bit of work to be done on the pedals, the linkages themselves, but I'm also concerned about what we'll find inside the drums. The drums turned out to be pretty difficult to remove, and we'll sort of cover some of that in the video. But follow along and let's see what we find. So to get the drum off, what we need to do is remove these two screws here.
Okay.
And then this drum will pull off. Okay. But before we do that, we need to release the brakes because they're pushing up against the drum. We do that by using the adjuster nut on the back. Okay, so to release the brakes, we need to adjust this square nut here. Okay, and I'll show you when we've got it open how that works. But basically, that's pushing the pads up against the drum. So to loosen them, we need to screw this what would be out,
Which is
this way. Depends how you're viewing it. If you were standing on the other side, looking at the nut, it would be
this way.
Anti-clockwise.
Yeah.
And basically, you want to make them as loose as you can. And that drum is now running freely. Very little drag from the pads. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a couple more, and then we'll move to removing the drum.
Can I try?
Sure. Come round.
I mean this.
Okay.
That is spinning quite easily.
Okay, now let's see if we can get these screws out. Now they're very big screws and they're often very tight, so we'll just have to see how we're going. Right, pass me that screwdriver there, please. Looks like somebody's used a chisel before, so we'll have to see. This is very tight. It's too tight. They're tighter than they need to be. I don't know why people always feel they have to over tighten these things.
Oscar's to step up.
So that's not going to come off easily. Pass me that little punch there, please, and a hammer.
This
No,
one.
the next one, that one.
Choose the ball peeling one.
Right, do you want to come this side so you might come to the camera?
Yeah.
And what we need to do, you see how somebody's used this before?
Yeah.
Try and take this off. It's not working.
Now, let's see. I'm going to do it gently first. Nothing. Fuck. Ow.
So we had to resort to heating the screws in order to remove them. It took obviously a very long time to do all four, 2 on each wheel. But we did eventually manage to get them rid. What's happening here? Can you see? Don't touch it.
There's a bit of liquid.
Yeah, it's sweating. So we've been heating over here, and that's caused the metal and the paint and everything around it to actually start sweating. So that's actually water.
And it's quite warm there.
Oh, it's quite warm, yeah. Okay, so we managed to get these two screws out. A little bit of a crusade from me. These screws do not need to be tight. I don't know why people insist on tightening them so much. If you think about it, when they're in there and the wheel is on, the wheel's rim holds those in. They're never going to come out. They can't come out. It's impossible for them to come out. Their only job is to hold the drum on when you take the wheel off, so that when you take the wheel off, the drum doesn't come with it. They don't need to actually physically hold the drum on. So there's absolutely no reason to over-tighten these. But I can't think how many times I've tried to work on brakes, whether it be a tractor, a car, a trailer, and found these little locating screws massively over-tightened, and it's such a pain in the butt. So don't do it. Right, let's get this drum off. It's not going to be easy. We've loosened off the brakes, so hopefully the pads aren't or won't be holding it, but we basically just wiggle it off little bit by little bit. We may need to loosen those a bit more. Can you run a fetch that spanner, please?
Yeah, it was acting.
The other way.
It was acting really weird when I was doing it, so I did it one way all the way, tightened. Other way all the way, tightened.
Yeah.
So
Okay, just stay there. Now turn it that way a bit more. That's it. That's it. Okay, now it's coming. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so I was turning that, which is turning that. Which is either pulling that or pushing it.
Right, now, first observation, the drum is in pretty good condition. There's only very slight scoring on the surface of the drum, which is normal. There is, however, a lot of oil, luckily all on the outside, which is how this setup is designed. When the oil leaks through the oil seals, it drops straight down and out onto the drum, not into the brake, so that's a good thing. The brake linings actually look pretty good. There's nothing, I mean, there's at least 4, maybe 5 millimeters of lining there, so that's pretty good. I was expecting worse.
Jet, get out of the light.
Come here, Jet. Come here.
But what we'll do is we'll dismantle this, take it apart, get everything cleaned up, because we've got to get to that seal at the back, which is leaking. The other interesting thing I noticed here, this has actually got bolt and nut holding the brake shoe on. I was expecting a clip, so I'll need to just research and see whether that's standard or if that's something somebody's added afterwards. But otherwise, we'll get started with taking this apart. So Oscar, turn that a bit more. Let's see if we can get this as loose as possible.
And watch the magic.
Yeah, keep going. Okay, I think you're actually tightening it. So go the other way, please. Watch my fingers.
How's that?
Yeah, it'll have to do for now. Right.
Because you can't quite figure out where
it's
the
not
middle
quite
is.
working. There's something not right there. So anyway, we'll check it out. Right, so what we're going to do now is get these springs off. I unfortunately don't have a spring tool. So Oscar, just mind your face, please. Okay, that's the first spring off.
Oh.
That's the easy one.
Oh.
I think what we're going to do now is take these nuts off. So Oscar, can you bring me a size 13 socket, please? Sockets are down by the lathe. starting to come off. So let's try and get this spring off rather. So we've got a spring and then a washer. Okay, and then there's a plate that joins the two. So we'll get this spring off now. And then we can take the pads off. Caught behind the washer. There we go.
So is that all of the springs?
That's all the springs. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Get the washer off. Which is a very tight fit. Okay, and then you've got this plate which goes between them. Are you looking?
Yeah.
And that keeps them the same distance apart, right? So they're always, this side is always the same, and this side is the side that, no, sorry, this is the side that adjusts.
What?
Yeah, because this is, we got the brake bar coming in here.
Yeah.
Okay, and as that turns, you come look here. The hole in the pad is, do you see it's like oval? Do you see that?
Yeah.
So that allows the pad to move, and when the bar gets pressed, when I press that brake, you see this bar here will move. Do you see?
Yeah.
And it pushes the two pads apart.
Can I try?
And that's not working 100% right, but yeah, you can try.
Okay. Is it safe to get up on the...
No, just use your hand, please. Okay, and back again. There you go. So that's how the brakes are used, and this side is the adjustment. So you use this to push the brakes further apart. Right, let's get this pad off. Should just lift off now. So this adjuster, Oscar,
Yeah.
basically when you turn the middle, these sides, each of these turn in or out, okay?
Yeah.
And the reason why we were struggling is because that one is seized and it's not actually moving. So all that was happening was this one was moving, and that's why we were struggling to get that loose. So that can just be cleaned up and it'll be 100% again. Can you do me a favour? Look in this socket box, there'd be a 1/2 inch socket. So you know what a 1/2 inch looks like, yeah? 1/2.
Yeah.
It's almost the same size as 13. Porter Whitworth. Oh my goodness.
What is quarter Whitworth?
Whitworth is just another thread or size that they used at one point in England.
I guess it was when this tractor was made.
Probably, yeah.
Chat, come here.
Okay. So again, we can see the linings are actually in pretty good condition. It's got a little bit of shininess over here and quite rough over here, which tells me it's only been working on this section of the pad here, which is not great. Probably because that adjuster wasn't sitting right, and I don't think that the whole brake mechanism is working right either. It feels very stiff, and I don't think it's sitting right. Well, that's about as far as we got. The brake pads and the brake drums look to me to be in pretty good condition. The brake pads are definitely only working on one side, and as mentioned earlier in the video, the adjuster for the brake seemed to be seized on one side, and we noticed when trying to release the brakes that that wasn't behaving correctly, and I suspect that that's probably what's causing those brake pads to basically not be sitting correctly in the housing, in the drum. Most things are they're not seized, but they certainly need cleaning up, freeing up, and allow the brake pads to float a little bit more within the drum, and I suspect that that would help them to wear more evenly. As I said at the start of the video, the brake pedals and all the associated linkages are definitely not working properly. Again, I think they probably just need dismantling, cleaning up, possibly replace some bushes, that kind of thing, to allow the individual brakes, the left and the right brake pedals, to operate independent of the main brake pedal, which obviously then acts against both wheels. What seems to be happening when you press the brake pedal is that the individual pedals they basically move, they move up when you press the main brake pedal down, which suggests that they need to be freed up so that they can actually float on the shaft. I suspect that's my expectation. We did do the other side as well. Opened up the drum on the other side, removed the brake pads. The other side, which is essentially the right hand side of the tractor, that seemed to be in a better condition, and overall. And I suspect that side has actually been serviced at some point, whereas this side that we've shown here in the video, I don't think it's been open for quite a while. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for sticking with it. Obviously, we'll do a follow-up video on the brakes to show you essentially how we get it all cleaned up, get everything operating properly, and obviously reassembled. But that'll have to be after we've removed the axles and replaced, at the very least, the axle seals. But obviously, whilst we're there, we'll also just check the bearings and make sure that they don't need to be replaced as well. Thanks for joining us again, and hope you enjoyed this video, and obviously we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you like what you see, we appreciate you clicking the like button, and of course if you've got any comments, any observations, any advice, any stories, we love to hear from you, and look forward to hearing from you. Thanks everyone, and see you on the next one.